In this video, I'm going to give you an update on the Age site case study. This is a case study that I started back in June of 2019. I bought a done-for-you site from Humanproof Designs, and I have been outsourcing all of the activities. That includes keyword research, the content being written, formatted, uploaded, published, all that stuff. And I've also outsourced the link building. So there are many different videos and many different podcasts and a lot of content on this topic. I'm going to give you the January 2020 update. The big update is a non-update in that I haven't really been doing much. In fact, I haven't touched a damn thing since like November of last year. And I think it was like early November. I largely checked out in the month of December, and I worked on a couple things, but I did not work on this site at all. I didn't do shit. And then in January, I continued on that path of, I wouldn't call it like procrastination as much as neglect. So what we have here is a real simulation, the real life. I have choices, right? I have choices each day on how I spend my time, and I work on some things, and sometimes I don't work on things. Sometimes I literally, I'd rather go walk outside or work out than work on the site. And that's what I've done in many cases. So it's a real life simulation. Some may think I'm lazy, but basically I made some updates on the 14th because January was finished, and I realized, hey, I owe you an update. So here's what we're looking at today. Let's cut to the chase. Let's talk about revenue. That's the really important thing. Is this site still bringing in revenue? So let me hop over here to, it looks like my wife texted me, but that's neither here nor there. We're going to look at the revenue for January. You see January through the 31st, January 1st through the 31st, 2020, $88.87. So not bad overall. Obviously, all things being equal, I'd rather be making a little bit more money, but as it stands, I haven't done anything on the site for a while. I haven't spent any more money at all. So at this point, we're coasting. All right. I'm going to tell you about some of the upcoming plans towards the end of the video, but let's continue to look at the analytics. So this is from the beginning. So June the 16th, 2019 is when I took possession of the site. You can see traffic is slowly growing. This is on a weekly basis all the way up through the end of January. And you can see at the end of January, things sort of like tapered off and dropped a little bit here. So that's not ideal, but that is what we're dealing with at this point. And there was an update. There was an algorithm update in January. It looks like there's a little bit of an impact, and we'll dive in a little bit here. And this is just January. And this is broken out by each piece of content. So I just gave you like the top 8 here, and you can see there's some ups, there's some downs. This is on a daily basis, by the way. And you can see, it looks a little bit lower if I just had to guess. I mean, visually, that looks like maybe about 10, 12% lower. And we were approaching about 300 visitors per day. You can see on January 20th, it got pretty darn close to 300 visitors a day, and it looks like it sort of tapered back down. Is there a seasonal component? Well, I don't know. Maybe there is, but we will just have to see how things shake out. Oftentimes after the retail season, after December, in the first part of January, you will see traffic drop a little bit. You'll see some of the earnings drop a little bit, depending on, the industry and a few of the specifics. The other thing we could take a look at is just the January traffic at large here. So this is not broken out. This is just the overview. So you can see, as I mentioned, there's some higher days or some lower days. And generally, this is the number of visitors here, the number of users. And what I was showing you before is page views. So that's the discrepancy you could see on the particular day there, where there were almost 300 page views. Oftentimes it was a person who viewed more than one page. So what's coming up for the Age site case study? What's in store for the Age site case study? Number one, this is a total aside. I may need a makeup person or someone to clean me up. these are looking a little rough, but they're raw, they're authentic, and they're real. So what are we gonna do in the age site case study coming up? So number one, I admitted that I have been neglecting things, and we have a perfectly fine site with like 80 pieces of content. There are a handful of backlinks in play. And at this point, I made it through the first 6 months or so after taking over the site. We hit revenue fairly quickly, basically as fast as I would have expected it. I wish I would have like put a little more time and effort after November. I always say like, hey, the more effort you put in, the more resources that you put into something, especially a site like this, you will be able to reap the rewards later on. A lot of times, if you're like doing link building for a little while, you may not see much, but over time, it does add up. So number one, I believe I need to get back on board with the link building. I'm going to be doing guest posting. I mentioned and I teased this idea a few weeks back, maybe several weeks back. Basically, buying guest posts, hiring services is very expensive. That was the primary goal initially, but I want to have an asset at the end of the day. I have to watch expenses. I want to get an ROI. Maybe I want to sell the site in the future. And the more I can keep the expenses down now and hopefully get a positive ROI sooner, that's better, right? So generally keeping the expenses down while hopefully getting the same level of quality will be fine. And if I could do that in-house by working on guest posting myself, which probably won't happen, or if I have one of my VAs work on it, well, that would be excellent. And I seem to have a reasonably effective system where the cost for me is much, much lower than hiring a service. It's something like 8 to 10 times cheaper. It's just much cheaper to get that done in-house. And Georgie's sitting right next to me. You can't see her here, but she's snuggling up big time. So anyway, the point is I'm going to be doing some link building. All right, links are very important in my opinion. I know some people are basically scared to build links, or they don't like building links, or they think, hey, publishing content seems to work. I'm going to stick to what I know, and I'm not going to do any link building. I'm not telling you what to do. All right, I'm not telling you what to do, but in my observation, building links, it helps, and it's very effective. And it may take a little while for things to pan out, but if you go look at websites that are ranking really well, generally they have more links than the sites that are not ranking as well. So links help, and I believe taking a proactive approach is the right way to do it. And I'm not saying you should go out there and buy links or pay for link placements or anything. You can use your own discretion. You can hire services. You can go to Fiverr. You can do whatever you want, or you can completely not build any links at all. And that is a perfectly viable approach. People want to limit the risk. People view risk differently. So from where I sit, it looks like, hey, links are a good option. They've been working out for me and a lot of my peers in the industry. So links, I made my point on that. And the other portion is potentially getting more content, keyword golden ratio type content that is product focused primarily. And I may be publishing, 2 to 8 articles, new articles per month. I haven't decided, but adding more content that's going to bring in traffic is generally a good move. And if I have links coming in at the same time, then that's even better. All right, so that's even better. Those are the main things, and people may recall, I often say it comes down to 2 main areas. You got content and backlinks. Yeah, you can dive into certain areas like pretty deep, but usually those are the 2 things that you can work on, and there's not much else. So you can make it way more complicated if you want to, or you can just keep it simple. Guest post, publish more content, low competition, and just take that approach. It's very simple. It works, and that's what I'm going to march forward with. All right. So if you have any questions for this age site case study, please leave them in the comments and feel free. I encourage you to check out the other videos in this case study series. I mean, I talk about expenses, I talk about the specific links and some of the costs associated with them. I don't show the actual links, but I talk about the services that I use, the metrics that I saw. So take a look at those videos, links in the description, leave those questions. If you're brand new to the channel, watch some of the other videos. If you dig it, please subscribe. Click the bell for notifications. I do live streams all the time, usually once a week. So have a great day.